Can you hear my fridge? Sorry about that. I'm gonna read a couple lines from this poem. Dried maple and ash bark, lush emerald flats, the fall-colored arena hark, the wide superior mats. At the valley's peak, encircled my life, the open space speaks. Let me end the strife.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a good Easter. I know I did. Great to see the family and spend some time away from charts. I had made a tweet and a Discord message and just to go to Bitcoin real quick. You know, I said this the day before Good Friday or the day we had off. We were here. I said we're going to do nothing until Monday. On Monday, we ended here. So, you know, a little bit of bouncing, but realistically nothing happened. I think we were in a 2% range, 3% down, 3% up, very small range. Getting a nice bounce back into that range. We're going to get to that in a minute. Today I'm going to do something different. Just going to quickly look at macro stuff, SPX, DXY, Tether, and then we're mostly going to focus today on lower time frame Bitcoin because we believe that there's a range. And as much as I'd love to sit here all day and go, hey, we're going to range. Yeah, that takes 30 seconds for me to tell you that. We're going to go over maybe some lower time frame trading opportunities, and then we'll wrap it up. Today I've got about 30 minutes, and then I got to bounce. So it works perfectly with everything we want to do. Am I okay? Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm a little tired today. I trained for 4.5 hours today, and my allergies are really bad. So if it seems like my energy's a little lower, it's because of that. But other than that, I'm doing great. But oh, hey Roman, now I do not have a question. I just honestly want to thank you for your work you do for the community. Oh, anytime. I really need to be more active in Discord though. Not necessarily for patrons, just for like in the free part of Discord. I'm trying to figure that out. What I can do and what I can post or how I can help. So The problem is, unfortunately, now it's getting warmer and I'm outside a lot. And honestly, like I don't really do the whole lower time frame trading. So sticking around and talking about lower time frames, it's just not. I'm not the best at it. I get the gist of it, but I don't know how well I'm going to help people day trade. You work out 4 hours in a row, yes. So I go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then I go back to then I go to my gym. Not like that I own the gym, but the gym that I normally go to and do like weights or cardio. And then later I'm doing a close quarters combat training exercise. I have to leave in like 45 minutes for that. So Monday's usually pretty busy for me. I'm trying to squeeze in live streams as well and prioritize them. So let's get into this. SPX. I mean, ultimately, guys, we have the larger arrow. The macro arrow is pointing up. Would not surprise me if we had some kind of pullback or consolidation to kind of cool things off. We're already seeing that with crypto. We're already seeing that, the whole market was kind of overextended. So with stocks might be lagging behind crypto, maybe. I mean, look how overextended we are, right? Every time we kind of hit this 80 range, anywhere between 80 and 86, we usually see some kind of pullback. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to turn into a bear market. It just means pullback, consolidation, something of the latter. DXY. So the DXY is breaking one of its horizontal ranges. Kind of falls in line with that confluence from SPX. If SPX is going to have a pullback, now's the time to do it. I've seen, and I mentioned this today in the private analysis, I was on Twitter and saw someone's chart that looked like this, and they said, oh, this is a breakout. So, and I have a hard time with that. One, because diagonal lines, you can't really trust diagonal lines, ever. And I don't want to say ever, but it's very hard to trust diagonal lines, especially when you have all of this space here, right? If we had maybe another peak here and, this peak that we got here, and then we broke out like this, yes, that would be a breakout. But this, I don't know if I consider this a breakout. Plus, I'd really like to see us put in another high to even consider anything a breakout. Yes, we are breaking the horizontal kind of area, but we could easily reject here, reject here. I mean, ultimately, guys, the DXY is moving sideways and has been for since we bottomed. So although the DXY has, gone from point A to point B, Bitcoin, really crypto and stocks in general have broken all-time highs and done extremely well. So if we continue sideways, if we continue moving upwards somewhat, that's okay. I will say since October of 2023, the stock market has kind of been riding with the DXY. Let's compare the two real quick. I think I have to do this. So one thing that I notice, and this could be incorrect. So the DXY kind of bottomed here. SPX corrected here slightly and has been moving up as this has been moving up. So I'm wondering if there's a positive correlation now. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you do get correlation between stocks and the dollar. Like here the dollar bottoms, right? And the stock market continued upwards for a brief period of time before falling. So maybe the dollar bottoms, SPX kind of finishes its move, and then it sees that turnaround. So we might see a couple more weeks of upward. Now ultimately to break any sort of market structure, I think the DXY has to break like 110, 108, all of that, but we're not even close. So it's not a huge concern at the moment. Please check Bitcoin dominance and ETH Bitcoin. Now we have broke all-time bull run has started. Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been covering for weeks, but we'll get to that soon. So let's talk about Tether. Confluence with Bitcoin. I'm just going to pull up the side-by-side just so you guys understand, or anyone that's new here understands what we're talking about in the macro. So Bitcoin is extremely overextended. Very, very obvious. I mean, RSI was at the third highest level in history. I'm going to make MACD very small. So what needs to happen? Ultimately, there's nothing bearish about this trend, right? Even with the tether dominance, there's nothing bullish about this. So when there's nothing bullish here, there's nothing bearish here. These are inversely correlated. So if Bitcoin pumps, this dumps. If this pumps, Bitcoin dumps, right? Anyways, there's nothing higher time frame market bearish, meaning Bitcoin going down. So ultimately, if we get some sideways movement, now what do you see that happens here? This turns into a bull flag, this turns into a bear flag, and then we can continue that trend down, continue that trend up. Again, bring that RSI back down. For those of you that don't know, Tether is the most oversold it's ever been. Bring that RSI back so then we can continue. We've broken all-time highs with BlackRock buying thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of Bitcoin. So to get bearish here just doesn't make any sense in my opinion. What's up, yes sir? How's it going, man? I hope you had a good Easter. Wish my city had BJJ. They might. You just have to find it. But all right, let's keep talking. So we talked about Bitcoin higher time frame. We'll get to the daily and then the 4 hour, and then we're going to talk about lower time frames, and then we'll get to Bitcoin dominance and everything else. So here's my biggest thing. And how do you know it's a bull flag? Well, one, volume's been going down, and we've essentially been moving sideways, compressing. Why compressing? Again, to reset the weekly, to reset some of these Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands are tightening now, creating that volatility, ultimately to assist in a breakout, and in my opinion, upwards, right? We're ultimately macro bullish. Let's just say we're going upwards. So the daily looks great. Volume's following suit. Everything looks very bullish. I know some people on Twitter, and they see me saying, hey, we're probably going to go back down to the range. That doesn't mean I'm bearish. It just means that, hey, we're probably going to visit the bottom half of our bull flag and continue from there. So let's zoom in on some of these lower time frames. So I just tweeted this out. We do have bullish divergences on the 4 hour. If we close this candle green, right, we have essentially holding this support area, right, or kind of deviating in a way as well. And you have lower lows in RSI. And honestly, I mean, you're off by 68,290, 68. I mean, it's what is that, $200 difference. You could make the argue that, yes, these are lower lows, but to me, it's kind of equal. And because there's such a big RSI difference, to me, this continues. It might pop up and deviate and then come back down. So the biggest thing to look at when you're looking to catch any of these trades. So if you look at the 4 hour and you say, hey, you know, we're getting equal lows here, especially with this green candle. We have this RSI divergence. It takes a little while for a divergence to play out. So what do we look at next? We can look at the 1 hour, right? Now, I don't know if I'd consider this an inverted head and shoulders, but it's something to look at, right? You could get inverted head and shoulders there. The 30-minute looks less likely, but could. But you kind of draw these scenarios and say, hey, we know that the 4 hours, I mean, and you have to think in the back of your mind, the weekly is ultimately bullish. And that doesn't mean that we have to pull back or have to consolidate, right? We can continue moving up for a very long time. There's no, we must do this with trading. But the biggest thing is, now that you know that your higher time frame is macro bullish, you know your daily's macro bullish, you know your 4 hour has those divergences in play. Okay, so we have this range, right? It's 71, 72 to 68, 68.6, 68.3-ish. So what are we looking for? We're looking for any type of reversal pattern on these lower time frames. You can go to the 3 hour or 30-minute. You can look at the 15-minute. You can look at the 1 hour. Personally, I like the 1 hour. I don't really like looking below the 1 hour. Sometimes the 15-minute's good, but it can get a little tricky. So what do we see? Well, two things. We actually have bullish divergence on this 1 hour with lower lows in price and equal lows in RSI. So what happens if we bounce? If we bounce to resistance and come back down, now what are you seeing, right? You're seeing the entryways of an inverted head and shoulders. You have that neckline being created. We would need to come back down to probably 69,000 where we are now. So I wouldn't say buy now, right? Even if we do come back down and get that, we need to see the formation. You need to see the formation of that inverted head and shoulders, and this is where you buy, is on that technically that right-handed shoulder formation, because then you can get a better sense of invalidation and validation of that trade. And ultimately, we shouldn't dip below this left shoulder anyways if the right one forms. So knowing that you're 4 hours bullish, looking at your 1 hour, now you have something to pay attention to in a trade setup to view over the next maybe day or so. Because remember, this is a 1 hour. This could take 28 hours to play out, right? We go up for 12, maybe down for 12, make that kind of consolidated bottom right shoulder. You could get an entry there. You could add more at this point, maybe look for that break. But at that point, if we do break this diagonal or really break this point at 71.2, you need to see volume, right? If you see a lack of volume there, it's likely going to be a fake out. Would you rather buy market cap chart for long term or Bitcoin chart? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Can you get a valuable opinion on Polkadot or maybe Polygon? So I bought a bunch of Matic about 2 years ago, and it's up, I think, like 30%. Matic's been moving sideways for weeks. It might be up. Yeah, it's up like 30%, maybe 40%. I bought somewhere in here. I can't really remember. A lot of my buys, so a lot of my buying, I had an automatic system just buying once a week. So like if I bought here, 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 and here, you know, my average is somewhere around here. So that's why I say I bought somewhere in there. I think I bought like 75 to 80 cents a coin. But Matic is moving sideways. I'd like to see more of a range form. You know, maybe we get something like that and then bam, like that, right? We're ultimately in a bull market. We should expect to go up. That's kind of my lower time frame take on Bitcoin. Sorry, I got distracted with a little bit of Matic. We know the 1 week is bullish. We're expecting consolidation. Daily's bullish, expecting some consolidation as well, given the weekly. My only issue with this 4 hour and 1 hour kind of trade, are we going to hit this resistance and then come back down and really make that nice, clean bull flag, right? I would like to see it personally. I think we need to spend a few weeks sideways, but that's just me, right? That doesn't mean we have to. You guys are listing off a lot of alts. I've tweeted numerous alts over the last 5 to 10 weeks, and a lot of them are up. Guys, I don't look at every single alt, nor do I want to. It's nothing against you. If I had more time on the stream, I'd be more than happy to maybe look at the chart. But we do go over alts every single day in the private analysis, and anything that you request, we go over. So if you really want an opinion, I would look into that. I go over any chart, any time, right? There's a whole chart request kind of forum, and I go over it. I make the chart for you, and that way you can take it, look at it, and decide for yourself if you'd like to buy. I already did all my long-term buying, so for me, what good does it do if I'm going to tell you to buy something if I'm not willing to buy it myself, right? And it's not that I'm not willing to, it's just I already did all my buying. There's no sense in me buying anymore. Let's get into Bitcoin dominance. I've got about 5-ish, 10 minutes. I can do CRV since I've bought it, and I do like the chart still. So Bitcoin's weekly. You know, ultimately this is a bull flag. I was hopeful, you know, not necessarily counting on it, but I was hopeful that we would dip down slightly, get kind of an altcoin recovery. Alts have been getting absolutely smashed for the last couple weeks. And I wouldn't say necessarily smashed. I mean, you have things like Digibyte that are killing it. Like something like Gala. I mean, Gala came down 40%, right? A lot of these went down quite a bit, you know, 42%, still down 28%. And it's ranging, and that's fine and healthy. But I'd like to see some more moves, like especially from something like Tau. Tau's been moving sideways and is now down, you know, 40%. Could go down more, but you're starting to make those bullish divergences on the weekly. But ultimately, guys, Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance are going to continue together. We've seen it for the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. I'd like to see it continue upwards, and realistically, I'd like to see dominance hit 72 again if we can, because when that liquidity shifts into alts, alt season will be a lot bigger, right? A lot more money will flow into alts. You'll see those big 20, 50, 100x gains on a lot of these different coins. Why I'm not talking about buying spot much is because I'm with the same principle. It's too late. When the bear market hits again, it'll be all spot. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in agreement with you guys. If you didn't buy 2 years ago, it's kind of late. You know, I tried to look for some opportunities for people to buy and kind of get into the market over the last couple weeks. And unfortunately, a lot of those calls, I mean, fortunately, if you did buy, you're doing well. Like, for example, like, let's see. I mentioned Gala, Digibyte. I've mentioned Doge. Like a lot of these coins that really didn't move and now they're up, 100, 200% from where we originally said. I mean, for Gala, we waited. I think we bought this at 0.03, right? And now look where it is. It's at 0.06. It's up 100% from where we started buying it. So again, a lot of these I'm not interested in buying. They're up too much. It's too much of a risk at this point to be buying. Because what if we don't go into a bull market, and maybe Doge retests where we bought it? I mean, that's from where we bought, that's a 60% decline. We enter back into the low part of that range that we bought, that we began buying in. Same with like Filecoin. Filecoin we bought in the, I believe, $5 and $6 mark, and now it's at $9. And then last but not least, CRV is a decent buy right now because it's kind of recovered most of its pump on the downside. It's down. It went down 35%. It's not down quite as bad, but there is that big double bottom on the weekly. This does need to bounce soon for this double bottom to play out, right? It needs to start moving upwards, but for a lot of the spot buying, it doesn't make sense at the moment. Bitcoin dominance at 70% will be nuts. Yeah, but a lot of these alts have been moving up with Bitcoin dominance. So what happens when that liquidity shifts, right? I mean, Bitcoin dominance started going up in October of 2022. I mean, you look at something like Link. And yes, Link was ranging, but Bitcoin dominance is still going up, and Link's up 335% from its low. So that doesn't mean that alts are going to do bad. It just means that Bitcoin's going to do better in terms of percentage gains. All right, guys, I probably have to end it there. I apologize. Wednesday will be a lot longer. I have to go to this close quarters combat thing at, what is it? Yeah, I have to leave like in the next 15 minutes. So with all that said, guys, thanks to Coincatch for sponsoring the stream. They give 15% off fees for life if you use my link. Great exchange. I've never had any issues, and if I do have any issues, I tell everybody. If let's say, for example, Tau had a, and speaking of Tau, I had them add Tau to the exchange so some of you could buy. But if Tau has an update and they say, hey, we can't do withdrawals or deposits on Tau, they let me know, and I let you guys know. That way everyone's in the loop and informed. And then aside from that, just an all-around great exchange. It's a great team. I've never had any issues with them. But anyways, always remember, be patient, use risk management.